guys, and welcome back to the podcast. I am really excited about this topic today because about 2 months ago, I actually polled my clients, like not polled them physically, but like asked them, took a poll with my clients on topics that they wanted to hear about. And I was kind of shocked how many of them wanted to hear like the behind the scenes shit of my business. I think so often, because we're so used to seeing kind of like what Instagram portrays, or when we actually meet someone, we get to experience them in that moment and beyond. We don't always get to see kind of like how someone got there or what that process looked like. And so in the spirit of the way I wanted to run this podcast, which is not going super macro, but going more micro, I really want to focus specifically on the journey of By the Blazer, because we are coming up on 2 years since we've launched. And I really want to go in depth about that process versus like talk to you about all the pivots that I've made in the last basically like 10 years to get to this point, because then I wouldn't be able to go in depth unless I fucking kept you here for like, 4 hours. And since most of you guys listen to this on your way to work on Monday, I really don't want to be the reason that you get fired from your job and then hate me forever. So we are going to focus today on By the Blazer and how I got here and kind of like what has shifted. Because By the Blazer genuinely, I think, kind of started for a very weird way. And I want to be very like transparent with you all that there was a guy on social media named Ryan Pineda, I think is his name. And he is a real estate guy. Like he started flipping houses and he started flipping furniture, then he was flipping houses. Then he started like buying properties, and then he started selling courses. And now he's worth like, I don't even know how much now, but I mean, 2 years ago when he was like all over my TikTok, I think he was worth like $8 million, and he had all these different businesses. And I remember I was working her 7-figure story, and I was like, I'm really good at finance. I have a lot of money, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I want multiple businesses. So what's really funny, a lot of people don't know, is right after I got the LLC for By the Blazer, I bought 2 additional LLCs, one for Ace Social and one for Type A investment group. And so my goal was that I would have her 7-figure story. I would start a social media type consulting something business. I had no idea what I was going to do. I just wanted another company, to be very honest with you. And then I was going to do like real estate. And that was like the whole plan. And I originally like wanted to do this whole Type A thing, like Type A network, Type A that, whatever. So I did Type A investment group, and I don't use that LLC. It's just kind of existing now in the world. But I had this company called Ace Social, and now when I say it, it sounds like asexual, which is like totally fine, but like I obviously don't want a company that's called that. But I got that LLC, and then I got that when I started her 7-figure story, and I just held on to it. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I was like, I want multiple companies. I want to be a powerhouse in business. And in my brain, that meant multiple companies. So her 7-figure story was basically about a year in. I quit my full-time job. And then, I was a couple months into being, full-time with her 7-figure story. I was super burnt out. And then I, at that point, was like, okay, I really want to take, my second business seriously now that I have time to do it. And when around that time, I was like starting to get all the branding ready for Ace Social. I also liked Ace because it was like Ashley A, Type A. I don't know. It just like felt like a powerful name. And then I was like, I really hate this name. And I originally think I was going to go into like social media consulting. I didn't actually know, but then I started to follow a lot of different business owners that did like business consulting or business coaching. And I kind of just randomly decided that that was the route that I was going to go in, because I think I thought it was going to be more profitable, or I felt like I was really good at offer suites and just all these different things. I actually going back, I do not know when the moment I decided that I was going to actually make it like business coaching. I just think that I didn't really know where I was going to go. Because again, I got those LLCs kind of before her 7-figure story ever made any money. So when I learned how her 7-figure story grew, I think I understood like, oh, there's a need for online business coaching. I also was introduced to online business coaches. And at that point, I kind of got more clarity. But I think originally I thought I was going to do something with social media, but I don't even know what it was. I just got an LLC because it like made me feel good about myself, which is really stupid. I even remember in Canva, I put like the 3 logos of the 3 companies next to each other to make sure that they look good together. And I cared more about that than like what the business was going to be. Very weird way of thinking nowadays. I don't know if I've ever told this story before, but what I did is I ended up actually wanting to change the name to be something more powerful. And I have no idea to this day how I came up with By the Blazer. I just knew that I wanted to be more creative in the business, and Ace Social was not going to work for me. So I liked the idea of putting the word like blazer or loafer in a business name. I don't know why. Mostly just because it was like going to be business stuff. So I was like, oh, like business, dressing business. And I don't really know where the name came from. I'm not going to even lie to you. I just remember I was searching up loafer, I was searching up blazer, and somehow I like got to buy the blazer, like BY, and then I liked BUY better. But then I remember I got the LLC for that. And then 3 days later, I was like, I should have done behind the blazer. That was so much better. And I just didn't like how that name sounded. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stick with Buy the Blazer. It'll be fine. And then I created an Instagram account for that page. And again, it just like sat there for like 8 months. Like I didn't do anything because I was working a full-time job. So it sat there. I didn't do anything. I didn't post. I didn't, promote it. And then I started kind of talking about Buy the Blazer in October of 2022. And I started signing clients, mostly clients that came over from the financial side. I created a program called the Disruptive Brand Method Architect Program. God, that's a long name. And I liked the word disruptive brand method. I felt like that was really powerful. I saw a lot of other business coaches that had like really cool names. So I just took inspiration from that. Again, I didn't really know what I was doing. And I was like, I'm going to have our architect program, which is like our building mastermind, and our expansion program, which is going to be our scaling mastermind. Because at that time I had already done $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 months. I knew I could teach at that level. I knew I was good at it. And I did exactly what I told you guys not to do the other episode, which is have multiple offers in the beginning, complicate shit in the beginning. I was so stupid, but I basically was like, I'm going to start with the architect program. And then in a couple months, I'll launch the expansion program. I think I only came up with those ideas for programs because everyone else had a building and scaling mastermind. I'm going to be very honest with you. I had no original thought with it. I didn't really know what to do besides, a mastermind. And one of the things I actually told my clients, because I sent them a voice note today about pivoting, is I actually really preferred programs that were like start to finish. The reason my financial company took off is because I did week 1 through week 6, like train. And when I went into a mastermind, I didn't really know how to run a mastermind. So if you are currently starting your business and you're running a program, add structure to the program, because it will allow you to be able to like organize things and keep, on top of things. If it's just all over the fucking place, you are going to lose control of your clients and the progress. So I felt like that was like a big mistake on my part, but I figured it out pretty quickly. So basically, I just promoted working with service-based industries. I was not coming from the make money space. I was coming from financial education. So I never really felt pressure to like only work with like coaches necessarily, because I had clients in a lot of different backgrounds. I think I did take on some product-based businesses in the beginning, and I wish I wouldn't have done that because like that was not the right niche. But I had a lot of women coming to me being like, I want to learn TikTok and things like that. So I really focused a lot on like a marketing program, even though I taught everything. And I started with like very few trainings, very few things. I basically told myself I'm going to start the price point low, and then I'll build up it, the program to have a lot of resources in it, and then I'll start charging my worth. And that's kind of what I did. Now, our first month, I think we did $15,000, which was pretty good for month 1. And then we went close to like 25K and then 30K almost by like month 3. Like we actually grew really quickly because I was charging like a couple $1,000s. It originally was a 3-month program, I think at like $2,500. And then I basically doubled the price and also made it more like a 6-month program. And then my 3rd month of business, I remember there was this girl who kept being like, I want to work for you, or I want to work with you, I want to work with you. And I wasn't going to start our expansion program until March because I wanted to like give myself space. And she's like, I want to be in this program, and I want this, and I want this, and I want that. And she just was genuinely the worst. I know this is like a totally different topic of the story. This is the only client I've ever like hated, like truly out of 500, 600 clients, the absolute worst. She made me sign her early. Well, I let her sign me early. I will take responsibility. I let her sign early. I gave her like a bonus month in the program for basically no money because I wanted her to join, and I wanted to like know that I had a client for this new program. And then she was up my asshole for like 2 months. Like she was the worst. Anyway, I then signed 2 more clients for expansion. So we had like 3 people in expansion, 10 people in architect. And that was pretty much my business for like 6 months. I eventually raised my price point to be a little bit better. I was signing clients mostly in architect, but my biggest mistake is that I assumed that expansion, like those clients would be clients that had hit like a certain amount of revenue in business or were in business for a while. And so my architect program was more like newer clients. My expansion program was more like tenured clients. The problem was is my expansion clients weren't really advanced clients. They had just been in business a little bit longer. So they needed a lot of foundational work. And then my architect clients were like really, really new in business. And it was probably about 6 months in where I realized that like I was making good money and my clients were fine, but I wasn't really signing the clients that I wanted. I wasn't signing them at the price points I wanted. And that summer, even though I was making good money, I was also still working her 7-figure story. So I had that income. So it didn't put a lot of pressure on me to figure it out. And I probably was that summer when I said, okay, I really need to like be more intentional with these programs. And I actually started signing like better clients in these programs. The problem is that, again, the programs actually were very similar. This is a really fun fact. Until about 8 months into those programs, both programs got unlimited one-on-one calls with me. And they basically just book calls whenever. And everyone was just booking calls to like book calls, not because they needed to talk about anything. And my calendar was busy. So nothing made sense. The deliverables didn't make sense. The price points didn't make sense. Both programs were almost the exact same. And again, the clients were having amazing experience, but like looking back, I'm like, this was messy. And then we changed systems that summer because I wanted to be in a place where there was like a community aspect and there was also, a calendar aspect. So we moved over to a system called Mighty Networks. Mighty Networks ended up being very confusing for the clients. It was very confusing for me. We couldn't add people and take people out of stuff. It was just so exhausting. And so now here I am like 8 months into business and we were doing really well. Like we crossed over $1 million in 15 months, you guys. Like we crushed it, but it was so fucking messy. And I constantly felt like I was in a state of confusion. The other thing that we did is we launched a membership that summer. And I, at the time, did not want to run a membership. I wanted what a membership meant, which was like recurring revenue, very easy revenue, passive, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to tell all of you guys right now that a membership is one of the hardest programs to run. And people don't realize that until they have them and then they realize that no one buys them. So now we have a membership. We have a Start Your Business course. I think I launched at that time. I had 2 masterminds. And again, the business was doing fine, but it just felt like very heavy and confusing. So I feel like it was around October, November when I really started to feel like I was signing like the right clients. The biggest mistake that I would say I was making though is extended payment plan. So I want to talk on that really quickly. I have always really believed in allowing my clients to make a payment plan that works well for them, not because I'm a pushover, but just because like I've always cared about the financial health of my clients. The issue that I had back then though, is I would have clients that would sign for a payment plan. Let's say it was 9 months and they started immediately. That means that they had payments out 3 months past when their start date was. And then if a client re-signed, because we had a very high re-sign rate, the client now was 6 months past their payment plan, because we would basically restart their payments, add it on to the end. So now it's an additional 9 months. So that's 18 months of payments, but they're only in the program for 12 months. So we got very behind on client payments where it was like the clients were all there, but they weren't paying us in a timely fashion. And that was all my fault. So that was a really big hurdle that we had to deal with. But outside of that, clients were paying, clients loved us. Everything was very smooth. Clients were having amazing results. And then I made another big mistake where I said, okay, now that we are crushing it, I want to differentiate and I want to be a consultant, not a coach. Now, I want to reiterate in all of this that at the time, like when it came to like clients that I signed at the beginning, it was more just anyone who would hire me. Then we got very clear on like coaches and consultants and done for you and some course creators. And then those clients basically, were all coming in. And then I really kind of started to have imposter syndrome about wanting to be more of a consultant. And I wanted to be like a consulting firm because I felt like a coaching business was not very impressive. Like I always kind of felt weird about her 7-figure story because it was like, what am I actually selling? I was selling like my knowledge, which felt weird. So now that I actually felt like I was in a business where I was selling like a skill set, which is interesting because both were, I felt like I wanted to really like make everyone like, wow, Ashley runs a big company versus like she runs some little Instagram business. Totally imposter syndrome there. And that's when I basically was like, we're going to launch a firm. So then in January of this past year, I relaunched By the Blazer. We had DBM, Blueprint, Architect, Expansion. So launch, build, scale, 3 programs. We had a bunch of like do-it-yourself resources, and then we had the firm, which was like done for you, where you could basically hire me and we would like come in and do like a project for your business or that type of stuff. And I actually did this because I really wanted to like build a course or like build out a program. I was just like super into that, but then I realized that I didn't really want to do that. It was more of like an ego thing. And I think when I did that, that made me feel really good about the business. But the thing that I lost was what I was always best at, which is keeping everything very simple. And I think it took me almost 9 months of this year, more like 7.5, 8 months. A lot of stuff, if you've noticed, has happened about every 8 months. About every 8 months, I completely am like a new business owner. But that time in my business felt so heavy because I really just didn't feel like I knew what I was doing. And I felt like I was like trying to accomplish so many things, whereas really I was like, what do I actually want to be doing? And it's like help people build successful businesses. And when I got back down to that, I was like, I need to simplify yet again. I don't want to be a firm. I don't want to do all this stuff. I also at the time had hired 2 or 3 co-coaches, thinking the only way I could scale was having like a big team. And I'm going to be very honest with you guys, a team can be amazing, but they're also a pain in the fucking ass. And the amount of money that I was pouring out in the beginning of the business is actually shameful to me. I look back at December to like February, March, and I'm like, this is insane. So I felt like our business, also at the time I was done with her 7-figure story income, so I was only on the one business anymore, and that was like a huge change. So here I am, I'm making significantly less money because all my clients are on way extended payment plans. We started to tighten that up in the beginning of the year. I also was not charging my worth, so that was an issue. And I also was having other income from another business that allowed me to feel breathing room. So I hired an ops team, I hired some co-coaches, and then my best friend, as you guys know, was like, I hate my job, so I hired her in January. And now all of a sudden I'm like, I feel so much complexity. January to probably like April and May were the most heavy parts of my business. I always tell my friend Lexi, I'm like, I feel really bad. You kind of came in this really heavy time, but I felt really stupid. I felt really financially dumb, which I've never felt really before. I've always been really good with my money, so that was very heavy. I felt a lot of like confusion, and the only thing that kept me alive was the fact that I was selling pretty well. And like I was just good at sales. So when people would come to me, I'd sell them into architecture expansion. I also, by the way, had gotten rid of the membership at the beginning of the year. I was like, I fucking hate memberships, which is funny about what I'm going to tell you. So yeah, that was kind of like the first like 5 months of the year. In May, I had this epiphany of like, I really hate the direction we're going. And I called my business coach and I said, I'm going to pivot and we're going to do a relaunch. And she's like, didn't you just do a relaunch in January? I said, yep. And we did like a second relaunch in June. In June, we moved to Blueprint, Architect, Expansion. And then we had like, we all launched a membership, which is so funny because I was like, I hate memberships. But I felt like at the time I was like, awesome, this is only going to be on marketing. I'm just going to be in there coaching every single day. It's going to be so amazing. And then we'll have the work with me. So it's like, learn from me in the membership, work with me on all these programs. And I felt like for a while that felt really good, but the problem was that I was facing, and any of my clients that were with me in this time can agree, the price of our architect program, ignore the start your business program. The price of our architect program was multiple 4 figures. And I felt like those clients loved the payments, they loved the program, it was perfect. Our expansion program, I priced like a traditional mastermind. They got unlimited calls, they got all this stuff, it was amazing. The problem is that clients at this level, and if you are a business owner at this level, I'm calling you out right now, you guys are either all in your business, or you are like a hot mess express and you need more accountability than you give yourself, or like you basically are willing to admit. And so my architect clients were hungry. They were coming to calls, they were crushing it, they were doing amazing. And my expansion clients came to calls and loved it, would DM me, loved it, but they were very inconsistent. And so at that time I said, you know what, maybe what I'll do is I'll start meeting with them every month so they can't like disappear for weeks, because like I for sure have at least one call with them a month. And we started implementing that, and that was helping. But I also realized that my architect and expansion clients asked the same shit. And my architect clients were asking for more high-level support. They wanted more mastermind conversations. They wanted more like connectivity stuff. And then my expansion clients needed more foundational support. So I kind of decided that maybe my fix to this would be launch a basically expansion cohort where they would start at the same time, and I would only take on clients every quarter to make it more exclusive. So again, I'm just throwing so many fucking, like, I did so much guessing, you guys. All I want to share about this is like, I just kept going. Like I just kept pivoting. I guess kept trying stuff out. So we launched our expansion cohort for August. I was like, I'm only going to take on clients every quarter. And I was about 4 weeks in where I said, I should not have these programs separate. And I have been trying to make the programs work separately. And it's not that they don't, but my expansion clients are going to crush it more if they have architect riding up their butthole. Like that's literally what I felt. And so I did to test it. I had a couple of my clients that were already going to upgrade to expansion, test out expansion. And they're like, I missed the architect program. And I'm like, okay, but why can't the architect program be what expansion? Like, why can't I make that work? And I realize it's because the exclusivity and the heaviness that we put around expansion, first of all, I had to price it really high in order to make it work. And second, it was just not a big enough group. They kind of needed to be around people that were like challenging them and motivating them. And so I made the executive decision in August, so literally a month and a half ago. I was like, I'm going to combine the programs. And we basically did like a VIP tier where the clients that were in expansion privately got like bonus calls and some other stuff because they did pay a different price point. And then my architect clients all started to then upgrade to a higher price point. It just, anyway, we made it all work. Everything worked out great. And now we have our membership and our mastermind and like private that people ask for. And that's literally it. And I want to like say this because 8 months ago, literally I've said 8 months so many times, but honestly, so much changes in 8 months. 8 months ago, I had clients who were 10 months out on payments. I had, oh my gosh, I had so many offers. We were trying to be a consulting firm. I was trying to differentiate so much. I was paying an extra $8,000 out a month that I didn't need to be paying. That was literally my reality at the beginning of this year. Now I have one team member that's salaried. I have basically 4 signature offers or 2 signature offers and 2 private kind of high exclusive offers. And my clients take up the least amount of time that they've ever had, but they're the most successful they've ever had. Our mastermind is incredible. They get so much one-on-one support. It's nutso. And I finally can like fucking maybe breathe for a second. Now, what's really funny is I had this moment the other day where I was like, do I actually want a membership, or do I just feel like that's the only way I can scale? Like maybe I just take on more DBM clients. Like what does that look like? But that's a conversation for another day. I'm just really like proud of what we've done, but I think people only see what my business is now. And we've changed systems. I started at the beginning of the year with Kartra. We were at Mighty Networks last year. We changed to Kartra. We moved to school this year. There's pros and cons to that. I just cannot believe like how much has changed, but I'm also like really proud of how much we've like pivoted and changed. And so when people tell me like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I, need to change something in my business, like what a failure I am. And I'm like, honestly, like that means that you just have clarity around what you really want to do. And I've had 3 massive pivots this year, but every single one was necessary. And every single one was based on me just being like, I don't feel good about this. I need to make a change. And I get asked a lot, like, what's the moment that you decide that like, it's not just you having a mental breakdown, it's actually like a need for a change. And I don't think it's always like a guaranteed, like, is this, time for a change, or is this just you like overcomplicating? What I will say is if you search for problems in your business, you will find them. So I want you to evaluate, like, is this a pattern? And if so, then there might be actually a problem that you have to attach to. But if it's just like a one-time gut feeling, I want you to sit on it for a while and think like, what would this look like if it was gone? Is it going to actually make me happy, or am I doing it because I think I'm going to make more money? When we are led by financial decisions, a lot of the times we ended up just taking one problem and making another. When we're led by impact decisions, so like lead by impact, not income, that's when you actually typically are going to make a better change. So the reason that we added the membership is because I had so many people who are not ready to invest in high ticket, where it's like I can actually coach them and give them custom support at a $97 per month level. Impact driven, not necessarily income driven. And then when I combined my two masterminds, that was not led by income, that was led by impact, because I could have charged twice as much for what my mastermind is, and I chose not to. So that's kind of been what I think has led me. I don't think I realized that until I've actually been recording this episode literally in the last like 30 minutes. But that's how I've really looked at being intentional in the business and making good decisions in the business, is running it through a sense of like what's going to create the most income or impact, and then letting the income be like the secondary like checkbox to the decision. And in everything that I've done in the last year, that's really what I've like led. We've done a lot of systems, we've done a lot of offers. And again, going back to the, really, really kind of laid out plan on scaling from 0 to 7 figures. This is why I had so many things that I had to fix, is I started with complexity. When you start simply, when you start with things in a simple way, that's when you can scale intentionally. And what we had to do is we basically built it up, had to break it down, had to build it up, have to break it down. And that can be very heavy for a business owner. So if you take away anything from this, is pivoting is a very positive thing, but also start with simplicity and scale that way, because it's going to be a lot easier to pivot without feeling like you literally have to work overnight or burn your business to the ground, or stay up for 3 weeks straight and build out 14 different systems to basically launch with your whatever scheduled timeline. So that's been kind of our journey, and I'm really excited for the direction we're going. It does feel very maintainable right now, manageable right now. Maintainable? Is that a word? I don't even know. Manageable right now. I feel really good about the way we're supporting our clients. Our retention is through the roof right now. There's so many things going really well. But I also want you guys to understand that like that was literally not even my case 8 months ago. And it doesn't mean that I'm a bad business owner or that my business was bad. It just meant that I was navigating things, supporting the clients first, and letting everything basically be a fire on the back end. And now the front end and the back end can actually be cohesive and both really powerful and really great for both parties, me and the client. And I do think that that exists in every single niche and in every single industry. Just so much we like overcomplicate what we're doing. We add complexity where it doesn't actually make sense. And then it's very hard to kind of figure out where that balancing place is. So I think this is probably something I could talk about in a lot of different episodes. I know that there's probably like details that I just couldn't go into because I did want to give you enough of a macro level while still going very specific with like Buy the Blazer and our journey. But I think that's why mentorship is so important, because I've had several people in the last 6 months kind of just put up a mirror to me and be like, all right, what do you actually want? What does this look like? I've also had a lot of moments where I was like, this is the way I'm going to go. And then did it realizing that it was based more on like an ego thing than like actually what I really wanted. So the thing that I want to like take away or like just reflect back to myself is that like, this is my business, just like your business is your business. You can build it any fucking way you want. You can build it with low ticket, high ticket. You can build it with 1 offer, 50 offers. Obviously, you know which way I'm going to lean there, but it's your business. And I think for a long time, I built my business to be my client's business or what other people wanted me to have or what other people did. And pretty much I've just said, fuck you to all those rules over the last 3 months. And this is when I'm finally happy and finally feel like I'm in like a good position. And so if you have a coach or you have mentors or you have friends or whoever that's telling you to zing when you want to zang, like zing when you want to zang, is that what you say? When you want to zig when you want to zag. Is that what I meant? I think that's what I meant. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. Like, yes, that's great to get perspective, but at the end of the day, like if your gut feels a certain way, like lean towards your gut. I think my gut had a lot of feeling like a year ago and I kind of have ignored it. And now I'm finally like really crystal clear on that, and that's made all the difference. So that's kind of our story of the last basically year and a half of my life with Buy the Blazer. Again, we're coming on 2 years. We're in a really great place. I feel really smart about the decisions I've made. I feel good about the offers we have. Don't plan on adding any more, which is great. We actually might even subtract a little bit. And it feels really good. But in reflecting back, holy shit, it's really cool to realize that kind of I was in chaos literally just like 6-7 months ago. And if we can make that big of a turnaround and a change in 6 months, like where are we going to be in another 6 months or a year? that's what's like really exciting to me, is how much we pivoted, yet how much success we still have had, yet how many clients have re-signed with us for 2, 3, 4 rounds in the last 6 months. Like, it's insane. That only just tells me an indication that we're like on the right path and that we're like headed in the right direction. So I hope that's encouraging. I hope that that's maybe insightful for you guys that are questioning yourself in your business or feeling like you don't have it all together. I still don't have it all together, but you don't have to in order to be successful in business. You just have to have enough of it together. And if you put your clients first and you focus on impact, then like everything else behind the scenes, you can kind of tighten up and figure out as you go. Just focus on like what your clients are receiving, pour into them, and then all the other pieces are going to fall. So I hope that that's helpful. I hope that that's encouraging. And I'm really excited to deep dive into more of like the Buy the Blazer story and some of these aspects more in different capacities in the future. But I just really wanted to give you guys that behind the scenes, because I don't think that that's what people have seen. And I don't think that that's what people would believe was my reality for the last 2 years just by looking at my Instagram feed. But it's very interesting how much you can hide in an Instagram feed, not intentionally, but just because like that's not necessarily the part of my business that I share on a consistent basis. So I hope it was helpful to kind of hear it from this perspective today. So we'll probably be doing some type of Q&A in the future around this topic. If you guys have anything specific that I talked about today that you want me to talk about even more, please just send me a DM. We do actually take all of your feedback very, very seriously. This episode was actually inspired by 2 different clients who requested this. So please go ahead and share, and we will bring some of those topics into future conversations. But for now, you guys are probably at work because I rambled your ass off for the last 40 minutes. But I hope that this was helpful. Please send questions if you have them, and I will see you guys next week.